really cool to watch. And one of those moments where you weren't sure if it was gonna happen, but then when it finally happened, it was like, oh, that's so cool. And, you know, there's been some loud pops, if you will, and with moments that have happened. This one got, I would say, one of the loudest that there's ever been was Dolph Ziggler cashing in
Oh
the
yeah.
Money in the Bank contract and winning the world title.
Yeah. And you gotta keep in mind that he was a heel at this time.
Yes.
But here's a guy that had the world title before when he was managed by Vicky, but
Yes.
it wasn't. It didn't last for very long.
No.
I don't think it was like a minute. And you know, being the U.S. champion, being the Intercontinental champion, a tag team champion. Yes, he was never the WWE champion. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You have him cash in and win the world title
Yeah.
from, I believe it was Alberto.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and just the expression on AJ Lee's face.
Oh, I know.
It goes to show you that if you wait long enough, you can actually get what you need.
Oh, exactly.
And Nick, as much as I don't like him, I think he is a very good wrestler
Oh,
when
hell yeah.
they can put him in the right matches.
Oh, yeah, put him in the right matches with the right, not really storyline, but like the right emphasis on it, if you will.
Yeah.
He can shine and he can excel. And
Oh, I know.
he excelled that night.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He had the title for a while.
Mhm.
So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, that faction, and I even said that back in the day, it was like Macho Man, Zeus, and Elizabeth of 2000, I think it was 2012, 2011.
Yeah, 2011, 2012, something
Yeah.
like that.
Very cool to see that. Yeah. So I put this match on here because this is the only match I remember from '95. But I also think this was the first match that the WWF title was defended in Monday Night Raw. You have Bret Hart, the Hitman, take on the 1-2-3 Kid.
Right.
Speaking of the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
And I think, okay, two things. First of all, you got two faces going at it in the ring for the title. Bret was the champion. Also think that they must have had, at least Vince or Gorilla or whoever it was, must
Right.
have had faith in Sean Waltman to put him in a WWF title match.
Yeah.
And there's a point where Bret gets tossed by Kid. And he's getting frustrated, like, oh my god, I thought this was gonna be a cakewalk, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go harder on this kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that. I mean, it was kind of like, you knew that Bret was gonna win.
Right.
But you had that hope, or even that doubt, that Bret was going to lose.
Yeah.
He could have lost, but it was a very good technical match. But of course, you slapped the sharpshooter on, and you retained the title.
Right.
And it ended with them just shaking hands, you know, hugging in the ring. And that's a good example of, I guess, friendly competition. I mean, they were both faces at the time,
Yeah.
so what were you gonna expect anyways?
Yeah.
But I just thought it was so cool to see Sean in that kind of light.
Yeah, for sure. On the topic of, you know, loud pops and loud cheers and whatever. You know, we've talked about this quite a few times, and I think it's fitting to throw it in this list. And it's definitely one of those moments that'll go down in history as probably top 10 probably greatest moments of all time. Monday Night Raw 2002, and the return of Triple H from when he tore his squad.
And I mean, that to me shows you how good Hunter is in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, you tore your quad and you still continue until you obviously lose the match. I mean, he took a Walls of Jericho on the fucking
announce team. Yeah.
So, to do the rehab and then to come back stronger than ever. And it was like, this was the moment where you thought, okay, he was out all of this time, and I'm starting to think that this is why they had the invasion angle.
Right.
Because with Paul in WWE at this time, I don't know if it would have made sense. It could have.
Yeah.
So him coming back and announcing that he is back and he is that damn good.
Yeah.
And then you have Kurt Angle coming out and they go back and forth. And then, of course, they both announced that they're going to be at the Royal Rumble. So it was cool. And I think, yes, I wasn't at WrestleMania, unfortunately. And it is a regret, but I mean, it still doesn't take away the fact that it was another one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a good moment. And then that led into Triple H becoming a face for the first time since he was in DX.
Yeah.
So this one was cool. I'll just bring this up now because I did forget about it for a long time. I do remember seeing a match and maybe Rob Van Dam in 97. But talk about the first ECW invasion.
Right.
Of 97.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you have to believe that Vince McMahon is that generous. Because not only did you have Smoky Mountain or NWA,
yeah,
but you also had Vince bring out this little known Philadelphia hardcore wrestling organization.
Yep.
In Paul Heyman. And yeah, this was a very good, I don't even know how many weeks it was.
Yeah.
You had like a debate thing where you had Tommy Dreamer at some point. You have Sabu falling off the ark. It was cool. And I mean, it wouldn't be until 2000, 2001 when you would have the other invasion. This, to me, was cool. Because, yes, they were still a very young company and a rebellious company. And for somebody like Vince to go, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see what these guys can do. And that eventually made Vince realize we have to change up our company. So I think in a lot of ways, ECW basically had advanced the Attitude Era for WWF.
You can see that, yeah.
So,
I mean, that moment, yeah, you could say was a pinnacle part of the Attitude Era beginning. But, it was a much smaller part than, the real, the big moments that, really were the kickoff and the prelude to the Attitude Era, my opinion.
oh, that's true.
It's not like it's a moment that it should be disregarded, but like it's just a moment that like is it a big moment? Yes. Was it as big as like the major moments that led up to the Attitude Era really being and becoming a thing? It depends on how you want to look at it, I guess.
Right.
So I think this moment for sure has got to be talked about. It is a moment that I think a lot of people never thought they'd see in a million years. And it's just like, okay, he's, doing his own thing, he's happy, he's, whatever else. And then when they said he was coming back, it's like, well, I'll be goddamned, it's finally happening. I want to say, sometimes I'm good at, like, pinpointing dates exactly. Other times I'm a little. This was in the time when Monday Night Raw was doing the whole guest host thing.
Right.
You had the return after, what they say? 7 years? No. It's more than that. It's like 11, or it was 11, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The Hitman?
2010.
2010, okay.
Yeah, January 2010. And yes, it's been a long time, obviously. Brett was bitter.
Yeah.
Sean found religion and all that, whatever, and had forgiven Brett, or whatever the case for it was.
Yeah.
In 2006, you have Brett and Vince finally meet. Brett had a stroke in 2002.
Yeah.
There was that thing where Brett said that he was in his bed in the hospital, and they plugged his phone in, and it automatically rang, and he picked it up, and it was Vince. They had a conversation, and it was like, they talked about making a DVD, and they talked about this and that, and being inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006.
Yeah.
And then 2010, coming into WWE for the first time in a long time.
Yeah. 11, I think it was either 11 or 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. So, before all this happened, he had made amends with Sean.
Right.
He had, of course, patched things up with Vince. It was very cool for me because, as petty as it sounds, I always hated Sean.
Right.
And then most of it was because I was a huge Bret Hart fan, and he would go out of his way to be disrespectful and all this other shit. Even the Montreal Screwjob after that Monday Night Raw, having the midget coming out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Fun-sized person in Bret Hart gear and DX mocking him. And then, just that whole thing. But as soon as Sean became a different person after all those years, they have the segment where Bret comes out calling out Sean, and they go back and forth, and then they shake hands, and then Sean goes to leave. You think he's going to do the sweet chin music, and then he goes and gives Bret a hug. And, just the weight was lifted off their shoulders.
Yeah.
And, I commend Bret and Sean. Sean especially, because he is able to forget the past,
Yeah.
Be happy with where he is, but also to man up and make peace
Yeah.
with Bret. Finally.
Make peace with Bret and finally, get that monkey off his back, so to speak.
And that's the thing, you can't hold grudges forever.
No.
There's a point in your life where you're going to have to face that person and say, you know what? I fucked up. You fucked up. We need to fix this.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a bad person because I was, not in the right frame of mind, and I did some stupid shit. And, I fucked up, but you were kind of in a not so good place yourself, and you were not in the greatest headspace yourself, but we're both grown ass fucking men. We're in better spots, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Let's fucking bury the hatchet and move on and be, friends again. Be how we used to be before we, things got chaotic, so to speak, or whatever.
So, I mean, and then of course you have the segment with Brett and Vince or the Mr. McMahon, and which led into the match at WrestleMania, so.
Yeah.
And, people thought the match was the shits, but here's the thing. Brett was limited on what he could do. So, it wasn't, like, into a certain extent, Vince, but I mean.
Right.
Well, it wasn't too much that they could do, but what they did do was not that bad.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, would it have been as good as it was, as, let's say, if they had a match, early on? Yeah. But face it, Vince being at the age he was at, Brett being in the physical condition he was in, we got what we got. Was it the greatest? No. Was it the worst? No. I mean, it was pretty good for what it was.
Yeah.
So.
So this match, and I actually remember watching this match because I was going to a movie afterwards. Yeah, these two guys, Ric Flair coming in and being managed by Kurt Hennig. I don't know why he became a manager all of a sudden, but.
Right.
And then, of course, the whole thing where you have Survivor Series 92, when you have Razor and Rick versus Perfect and Savage, Rip, and it's one of those things where it's like, you knew that they were going to touch eventually, and while there was this match, and it was the first time that I personally ever saw blood, that much blood, in a match.
Right.
Ric Flair versus Mr. Perfect.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it was very personal. They did a lot of cool spots. And yeah, they both blood, obviously. I mean, like I said before, oh my god, a Ric Flair match with there's blood?
Yeah. There were very seldom matches that Rick had in his career where he didn't bleed.
The only thing that really pissed me off about this match was they cut to commercial, and when they came back, Mr. Perfect already won, but he's headed back to the locker room. And I'm like, what happened in between?
Yeah,
there was no replay.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm not sure if they had any other matches in WWF. I'm pretty sure they did in WCW, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Like, I know that Kurt was a part of the NWO later on.
Right.
And, of course, Ric Flair was where he was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, on the theme of returns, talk about Brett returning to 2010 after 12 years away. I think, another moment that was pretty cool to see, and I think it was really a good idea to have this person come back and, do business the right way, so to speak, and, actually be able to have decent matches and, okay, maybe not the most memorable matches of all time, but, something where you go, oh yeah, I remember that match, that was great. go to, well, once in a while thing, or what? Okay, got this done, over with. Got some redemption, and I can be happy with where I am, what I did. Not have to worry about, coming back. I mean, decides to come back and do an appearance here and there. Sure, whatever, be cool. But, talk about how cool of a moment it was having Hitman return after so long. I think it's just as fitting to talk about the return after a number of years of Goldberg.
Yes. Yes, it's like you never thought you would see Goldberg
Yeah.
in WWF, or WWE for that matter as well. It was pretty cool. And who better to feud with than The Rock?
Yes.
I mean, The Rock was already doing his Hollywood shtick.
Yeah.
He was already in Hollywood making movies
Yeah.
in real life, so it was kind of really cool to see The Rock concert and B, just the fun that those two had. And I mean, I know that 2004 wasn't the best year
Yeah.
for Bill, but
Right.
it is what it is. And you watch Backlash in Montreal, and that match was pretty cool. You get to see Goldberg spear The Rock, and you get to see The Rock beat down a Whisker Biscuit candy ass. So, yeah, it was a really good feud. And obviously, it wasn't the last of Goldberg. He would come back years later,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, he'll be fucking 70 years old and in the ring with the way he goes.
Yeah.
Can you fucking sleep, Bill? Anyway.
Yeah, just, being able to come back and, have those matches with Brock rectify the issue that was the fans shitting on their match they had at 20.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, getting the reaction that I'm sure they both felt like they deserved from 20 at 33?
Yes. Yeah.
33. And a couple other matches that they had against each other. And, even, we had just talked about the Royal Rumble 2021. Check that out when it comes available. Goldberg versus McIntyre. Goldberg versus Kevin Owens for the Universal title. Goldberg versus Strowman. Goldberg. It was a fairly quick match. Goldberg and Ziggler.
Yeah, in Toronto.
In Toronto, yes.
Yeah, Goldberg and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
The Fiend.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this segment was pretty cool. You talk about the whole thing with WWF and WCW. And who could ever forget the time that DX took the tank and went to Norfolk, Virginia,
Yeah.
Fred Ottoman country, and tried to take over WCW.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see any WCW. How groundbreaking, and I believe it's Kevin Nash had said at the Stone Cold Sessions, he says, him and Scott were trying to push this old man under the way so we could get at DX.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool would it have been? DX and, the NWO showing up on network television.
Yeah.
And unfortunately that didn't happen. So that would have been cool. And I think that, yeah, they failed, but it made for an entertainment segment.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Just, them on the... I wouldn't necessarily call it a tank because it wasn't,
Yeah.
the size of a tank, but it was like a kind of like an armored vehicle with a, I don't know what the hell kind of gun you call it on the front. Anyways, and then driving through Norfolk and go to the scope and talking to fans like, hey, did you buy your tickets to Monday Night Show? No, I got them for free. And everybody chatting DX and
Yep.
and then that moment of driving down this little hill and the gate closing, and that was fun. That was a funny moment. Another moment that was a really interesting moment, a standout moment. And not necessarily for the fact of what initially happened,
Mm-hmm.
just more so for one particular moment that happened afterwards. But, bring up Dolph Ziggler cashing in, Money in the Bank contract, and winning the world title. The crowd reaction. A moment that was just as good for the reaction, but it was a negative reaction more so than a positive reaction. Was it Randy Orton, I think? And Miz cashing in on him and winning the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
But not so much for the fact that Miz cashed in and won the title. I mean, okay, he won the WWE Championship. That was, okay. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
First WWE Championship. But I still fucking remember them showing people in the crowd of this one little girl. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
She was furious. Just a scowl on her face. Oh, killed me. Funny as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
just that, like I said, and I'm not downplaying Miz winning the WWE Championship because, I mean, he rightly deserved to be WWE Champion. Just that one glimpse of that girl in the audience. Oh, God, that was hilarious.
Yeah. So this one, I talk about Crush turning heel. Never thought that would happen at the
Right.
time. This was an interesting angle because I'm not quite sure how it all started.
Right.
But there's a point where you have, this was like after WrestleMania. And you have Hogan and a segment with Hogan and Beefcake and Money Inc. and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then Razor Ramon comes out and money was owed. Somehow, because Razor lost his match at WrestleMania, Money Inc. is making fun of him. And that's somehow when Scott turns face, because they beat the shit out of him.
Right.
So that was a weird excitement to me because it just came the fuck out of nowhere. But it was another thing where it's like, oh, he's a face. Okay, well, let's see how this goes. And honestly, it was pretty cool. I mean, I don't remember him ever turning heel again
Yeah.
up until that point. So,
Right.
Then he went to WCW.
Yeah.
The Nacho Man.
See, think about doing this, like, looking back over 30 years, and there's so many moments.
Oh, and Vince broke his leg.
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
Vince getting his leg broken by Kate of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when you had Austin lose the title. I believe it was at Rock Bottom or something.
I think so.
and it was a triple threat. He lost the title. You have a segment where Vince is talking, and this is when the Eagle Skull belt no longer existed,
Right.
but yet in the glass case you have the Eagle Skull belt. And that was the first and last time you ever saw that again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Kane and Undertaker break his leg. And then there's a segment where he's in the hospital. And then, of course, you have Mick Foley coming out as Mankind with the chocolates and stuff. Oh, man, I got you some female entertainment. Yeah, she does a trick with this dog. It's unbelievable. Of course, it's Europol the Clown.
Europol, yeah.
Then, I got the segment with Austin. He's a nurse. He's beat the shit out of Vince in the hospital bed with the hospital pan. And
Whack him in the head with the bedpan, yeah.
cuts right before he sticks that tube up his ass.
Yeah.
And then, you have a bunch of weeks and months, leading up to WrestleMania. Vince is in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're good to, make that whole thing with, Mankind and Europol and, the introduction of Mr. Sacco and then, Vince kicks them both out and it's like, oh, doctor, it's time for his sponge bath, whatever the hell, and
I'll take it from here, nurse.
then just attacks Vince and punching him and cracks him in the head with the bedpan and punching his leg and then sticking the tube up his ass. And, yeah, that was a funny moment.
He has the paddles. Clear! Keeping in the theme of Austin and McMahon. Before WrestleMania 15, it's Corporation Rock's cutting a promo about WrestleMania. You got Austin coming out in the beer truck.
Yes.
Coors Light.
Yeah.
And then he gets up on the truck and he's cutting the promo. You talk about your nursery rhymes. I'm gonna check into room 316 and all this.
Burn that some bitch to the ground and, at the end of WrestleMania, I'm gonna be the next WWF champion, and then jumps down from the truck, walks to the back, kind of the back, comes in with a hose and just sprays everybody with
God,
it.
yeah. And I mean, that was classic. And talk about ham acting. Vince just doing the back, front stroke back, whatever.
And
the beer.
Yeah.
And you have Steve, he's like, yeah, and I wanted to have a drink. So he took the hose and he puts it to his mouth. He's like, yeah, I damn near choked on the beer.
Yeah, the amount of pressure coming out of that hose.
So,
yeah.
But, yeah, it was a very good segment, 99, for what it's worth, yes, we had a lot of WWF champions. It was still a memorable year for me. I was in grade 9. I was in a school full of wrestling fans.
Right.
So it was fun for me.
Yeah. I think for my last moment, staying on the subject of Austin and McMahon, if you will, talk about Vince and Austin spraying down everybody with the hose or the bear truck, and then Austin beating up Vince in the hospital. Another moment that should also talk about within that is, I don't know how they got away with this, but they managed to get away with it. Austin holding the gun to Vince's head,
Yeah,
pulling the trigger, little flag, bang, 316, and Vince literally pissing himself.
I think we should have a new t-shirt. And Vince McMahon, Vince 316.
Says
I just pissed my pants.
Yep.
Stunner. Oh yeah, the whole segment backstage and Vince is holding him hostage. Squeal like a pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That was a very cool segment. And I mean, that was, again, imagination.
Yeah.
And I think that era, they just had fun with it. And so, yeah. That feud, man, just was very, very good. And so, I mean, yeah, you know what? I think that's going to be one of the best feuds of that generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I remember Vince talking, it might have been on the Broken Skull sessions, I think, he did with Austin. Or something like that. When he was talking about that particular night, he said, yeah, I just, drank a bunch of like coffee and water and just drank a lot and held it until, we did that segment. And then, when Austin pulled out this toy gun and, squeezed the trigger and the little flag coming out, bang, again, just let loose.
Pretty much.
Like, that's what you call dedication right there.
Yes.
He didn't want, something rigged up to him, something like a bag strapped to his leg and hide it under his pants, and, something like a rig of some kind. He's like, no, just fucking drink lots of water and hold it, and then when the time comes, let loose.
Yeah. Well, my number one pick, and obviously you might have an idea. This was a segment that aired in December of '98, but it was shown in January of '99, which gave WCW fuel, because they're like, if you're gonna change the channel, Mick Foley, one of the guys that used to work at WCW, is gonna win their main title.
Yeah.
That'll put some butts in seats. Ah!
Yeah, that was the night. Ratings changed forever.
Oh, yeah. Tony Schiavone shot himself in the foot. Eric Bischoff. Those guys. And that was the reason I never really was a fan of WCW. One of the reasons, WWE tried to make their show better. I felt like WCW was trying to sabotage WWF, or...
Yeah.
you still had Billionaire Ted and the Nacho Man and stuff like that.
The Huckster.
The Huckster, But Monday Night Raw, you were going to see The Rock and Mankind. Mankind coming out with DX. You've got The Rock and a corporation. And they tried so hard to make The Rock retain the title.
Yeah.
And there was the point where they were both on the mat. And last breaks.
Here comes Austin with the steel chair. Laid everybody out. Laid out Patterson. Laid out Briscoe. Laid out Shane. Laid out Vince. Laid out Rock.
Shit. So, this was pretty epic. And then, of course, putting Mankind on The Rock. And the ref, or maybe it was Austin, I can't remember. And I just saw this again.
Yeah.
Counting to 3.
Yeah.
And Mankind, the new WWF champion, for the first time. And celebrating with DX.
Yeah.
It was a very cool moment in WWF history. Because you didn't think Mick Foley could do it.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on him, it's
No.
just one of those things where it's like, you always saw the WWF champion as the muscle.
Yeah.
As the guy that had a good physique.
Yeah.
We were getting into the territory where it wasn't just guys who were 6'5"
Yeah.
that were getting the title. But Mankind, Mick Foley, was just a different human being.
Oh, yes.
So when he won the title, I was watching the Broken Skull session, and he's telling the story, getting back there at night. And he watched the segment, and he was offended, obviously. So he called Schiavone. He wasn't there, so he left a message. hey, this is Mick Foley. I did a lot for your company. I don't know how you could do this to me. Bye. So then the next morning, his wife Colette says, hey, Tony Schiavone just called. He just sounds so sad. So, of course, they had a conversation. Tony was like, I was just doing my job. I love you and all that stuff. And it's true, though. I mean, they're competing. And that's what you have to do to compete.
Yeah,
sometimes.
like, as much as you want to shit on Tony Schiavone for that moment, it's like, he was just doing what he was told. We know the results of Raw. You know, Mankind's going to win the world title. Say whatever you can think of to not have people watch that segment,
Yeah.
if you will. And you watch the Monday Night Wars thing they had on they have on the network.
Yes.
And they talked about that, and he said, it was just the first thing that came to mind, Oh, Mick Foley's going to win the world title, He used to work here as Cactus Jack, whatever. Oh, yeah, that'll put butts in seats. Trying to, make it sound like Mick Foley's going to win the world title, whatever. And it was like, wait, Mick's going to win the world title? Click.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People change for sure. And like I said, I was never a WCW fan, so I didn't see that until years later.
Yeah.
Another thing Mick said is it wasn't the fact that he said, "Oh, that'll put the butts in seats." It was the afterwards, and he goes, "I'm an after all I've done for you guys," and so it was a very cool moment. I mean, yeah, Mick never won the Intercontinental title. He did win the tag team titles a few times.
Yeah.
And a hardcore title. But the WWF title, I don't think anybody ever expected that.
No.
But so this has been another episode of Wheels of Fury.
Yeah.
Our top 10. It'll probably be a 3-part episode.
Probably.
I'll upload it eventually somewhere.
Yeah.
But I figured, hey, you know what? Let's do this because it's the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Can't really believe it. It just goes to show how fucking old we are. Especially me. But anyways, so, yeah, for me and Matt, this is Killer Kyle. We will talk to you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you for our Rumble play-by-play. See you in the next one.
We will see you, yes, Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
So, we will talk to you. I guess that means it's going to be a special episode. We will talk to you next time. Deuces.
See ya.